So I just landed on a groove. Sadly though, or I should say cautiously, went and grabbed some dinner. I'm now back. I haven't pressed play and I hope that it still sounds okay. Because do you ever have that where you're like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. And then you listen to it again the next day and you're like, so where was that song that I made yesterday that sounded amazing? Because it sounds like garbage. I hope that doesn't happen now. Let's see. All right, I can get down with this. So today I wanted to talk about, man. Okay, hold on. I'm getting carried away already. How's it going? Hey, hello. Today I wanted to talk about this. This is the Microcosm by Hologram. Yes, they are sponsoring this video, but this is probably one of the best things to happen to me, which is, I'm not sure if you've noticed or not, but for a while this hasn't left my desk. I keep using this and a few other pedals, and they're like, hey, do you want to do another video on the Microcosm? And I was like, sure, I'll show you how I've basically just been using it this whole time. So with this setup here, I pretty much just use, I send audio out of Ableton Live through my audio interface as it's called the external audio effect. It did take a little finesse to kind of get this in sync with whatever else is in sync, because in this setup here, Circuit Tracks is receiving tempo from Ableton Live over USB, not the ERM. And that's feeding MIDI to Peak. Peak's audio is going back into Ableton Live, and then I just dragged the Microcosm little external audio effect onto this track, and that's how we're able to hear it. This though, you can clock it with MIDI, so I have it being clocked by the ERM. It doesn't receive clock over USB because I don't think there is, there's no USB on here. That would have been awesome, but there isn't. But basically, I'm just clocking this with the ERM so I can really fine tune it because it will sync to the tempo and do some really cool stuff. For example, this is one of the presets that I've been having here. And if I press play, I just got my little keyboard here. I know a lot of you ask which one this is. It's a Keychron. I got the link for it down in the description in case you're curious. So without this, this is the pretty simple, right? Right. But then with this, there's just this big, beautiful swell that's been happening in the background. So I guess what I wanted to focus on, seriously, was just this one preset called SEQ, sequence. I was wrong about this thing because I thought it was all about blocks and interrupt, especially interrupt, because I used interrupt on a couple of my tracks with the drums, but then I found SEQ and Mosaic, but SEQ in particular has been incredible even on drums, which I'll show you a little later. I'll just run the tracks into here. But SEQ has been, I've made a couple presets with SEQ, for example, this one here. And let's say I go to a different pattern for my bass line. I think this is another. Okay, cool. Let's say this is another pattern. Dude, this is like the techno preset. It adds so much. This isn't even the preset I wanted to show you. This is the preset I wanted to show you. Number 2. Hear that little wow, wow, wow. Let me restart the clock. I'm not sure if this restarted on time. There it is. Because then watch, I can go in and play something else on top of this. Whoa. Speed it up. Slow down. this pedal made me starve. I forgot to eat because I was just here doing this forever. I was supposed to do this a long time ago, but I couldn't because I'm just been jamming on this sound, whatever this is. What's cool with this too is a lot of times I'll just track this in and kind of take little snippets in there later on, kind of like that. I'm not sure if you've seen, I did the Ableton One Thing video, this one right here, that kind of showcased a little bit of finding rhythms and rhythms. So this has been really good to just kind of allow me to just turn a simple bass line, right, into just something a little more intricate without really trying. Then you can even move this around. So the shape, it depends on which preset or setting you're on, whether it's like sequencer, mosaic, tonal, strum, or whatever, but that would also kind of change the way it's playing back samples, and it's different per, so it's just a fun exploratory tool. That was kind of cool. We'll play it reverse. Cheesiest bass line, please forgive me for this one. Actually, you know what, go ahead, you can roast me, I don't care. And then lastly, another preset that I've been messing with is mainly for drums. I'll go ahead and pause this real quick. And how can I cheat this real quick? You know what I do? I hope this doesn't cause a lot of feedback. I'm just gonna take you out of my patch bay and go straight into here. Please, ears. Mixer, we'll let that play. Okay, cool, so this works. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to another preset here. And one of the presets that I made is this one here, which is basically SEQ again, just with some weirder settings. And I kind of fine-tuned this one more for drums. I say fine-tuned as if I knew what I was doing. I'm kind of just exploring this thing. There's a bit of happy accent. There's a lot of happy accents with this thing. I do like the time division, specifically on this preset, because let's say I have this pattern, right? So now let's go to a snare. Yeah. Then you can even move this around. And an easy way that I'll use this is right now it's honestly pretty complicated with the MIDI routing setup that I had to do for this. Actually, you know what? It wasn't complicated. What was complicated was nailing down my audio interface latency to Ableton Live's latency. But once you use the external audio effect Ableton plug, what are those things called? Ableton BST, Ableton plugin, instrument, drag and drop thing. It basically calculates it all itself as long as you have your driver error compensation correct. And there's actually a really good little help view window mode inside of Ableton Live to help you make sure you got that nailed down. Once I had that, everything else pretty much fell into place unless I was trying to use the microcosm on a send. Then the send, for whatever reason, going to a send, then out and then back to a track was freaking Ableton Live out, and I could not get it to line up. I could record it, hear it perfectly in time, and then once it was recorded, shift it over about 10 milliseconds, and I was good to go. I just don't know where that 10 milliseconds actually lives. So an easy solution that I usually do if I'm kind of being lazy and I don't want to run the ERM is if this is receiving clock, I'll just go MIDI into here, and thankfully this actually has a MIDI through. So I can even go into here, through into peak, and have this exact same setup going, and then this tracks would sync this basically dead on to it because it's just in chain with itself. Another thing that I wish the Microcosm could do is we have this filter here, right? So let's say we play this track back. My only gripe right now is that in this, there's a lot of bass, right? You do have a filter, but it's only low pass. Hologram, if you're watching, give me a band pass and a high pass, please. You can change the resonance, which is good, but it's only low pass. I guess this is good for doing more loops with pads and stuff, but for drums, come on, this would have been killer. Right? And honestly, using that external instrument plugin thing is really good, and that's kind of how I have this set up with just some long audio cables, mainly because let's say that this wasn't here and we actually went back to peak and plug this back in. Like, let me make sure. Okay, cool. So this is back. So let's say I wanted this to go here on the Pro 2. I would just drag and drop that same external instrument rack onto this channel and you're pretty much good to go. Drag and drop. We'll go to, like, say, Mosaic. Let's try this preset. We'll go to Haze. We're back to my favorite, SEQ. Turn the repeats down. Honestly, basically, the whole point of this video was I was wrong about the Microcosm, thinking that blocks and interrupt, because on my last video, that's all I really talked about, but it's really about SEQ and Mosaic. Those two, those are the money makers right there, because again, with something as simple as right, with this, right, and we go back to my little preset that I had on user 3. Oh, right, I forgot to drag this back. Listen to that. Maybe add a little mod depth. Kind of just moves the pitch around. Anyway, I appreciate you as always. Hologram, thank you for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate you. And thanks for just letting me talk about whatever I already use and just throw some cash my way. Yo, listen to this. Again, without this. Who am I? I'm nothing without this. Alright, I'll see you next week. Appreciate you to everyone at NobCon. Super dope seeing you as well. And yeah, until next week, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge, knowledge is power. Peace.